I'm going to call this meeting to order, and I've got to add a few things. Our road foreman, there's nothing under the road foreman's report. We're going to have a request for financial assistance. We have a few items under correspondence for information. We have a letter from Jody Normando regarding town meeting. And Sam Farwell, the Planning Commission, has a letter on their clerical budget. And I added Hugh Warden's article that he wrote and submitted to the views under unfinished business. Okay, and with that, we have the minutes from June 7th.
I would move that we approve the select board minutes from June 7th.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Do we have somebody taking notes?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Joe. Yes, our
Yeah.
clerk. Trustee clerk. All right. Moving on. We have warrants 26, the payroll 26P, the Recreation Board, the Conservation Commission, and the Capital Fund number 5, which is just a pass-through with emergency management funds.
All right. I'll move we approve warrant 26, 26P, Rec Board 11, Conservation Committee number 8, Capital Fund number 5.
And I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Warrant 26 is for a total of $66,981.29. It includes grader blades, contributions to Blue Cross Blue Shield, our monthly rescue fee. There's $6,000 in prepaying paving for later this summer. Payroll transfers, retirement fund payments, $29,217 going towards the fire station construction. We have $11,681 as part of our county tax bill. We have about another $5,000 to go. And the monthly sheriff's contract of $980. So, any comments, any more discussion? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we have recognition of visitors and public comments. Gail, are you here for
Just generally on the agenda, and also to thank BCTV and your participation with them. It's wonderful. There are a number of us that do watch it. So it's nice to see you in person tonight.
Yes. Okay. All right. So let's see. At the end of this month, the recycling bins are going to go away. This is a change that was voted in by the representatives of the Windham Solid Waste Management District. And we, at this time, are not going to continue the bins with a private hauler. So we just want to get the word out and let people know what their options are for recycling. And we've invited Michelle Cherrier, who's one of our representatives to the Windham Solid Waste Management District, along with Lester Dunkley. Michelle, you want to come up?
I will.
Okay.
Hi, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Happy summer.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Well, my goodness. What do you want me to answer?
Okay. So
Is there
the,
anything
So
specific?
where do we get recycling bins? There's a question.
what's our? Do you want to explain what the options are for people in town?
Yes. Actually, I also wish to give some credit to one of our residents who sent me an email. That would be Linny Jones and Akara Draper, because they asked a few of these leading questions, wanting to know, what do we do? So I said, well, you know, the district is still continuing its services as we've always known it, with a few noticeable changes. They will no longer pick up and take away the recycling that had been collected in the bins here. They're going out of, they're going to stop offering that kind of service. So those bins will eventually be taken away as soon as possible after June 30th. There's no reason to rush up here, well, actually 18 different towns, it's not possible to get them all in one day. So they may or may not be gone as of the 1st or the 2nd. I don't have the exact schedule that they'll follow to come and pick them up. But then they will take them down to the district and they will empty them onto the tipping floor, and that will be the last time that all of those items are sorted and bundled and baled and sold. Now, after that date, of course, everyone can still, after June 30th, on July 1st, everyone can still go to the district and still do all the other things they've been able to do all along.
Yes, so this is, when you say the district, you mean the
Yeah.
Ferry Road?
The fair, yes,
Facility.
old Ferry Road facility. Is and always has been a transfer station. We've never referred to it like that, but that's actually what it is. So people who come to the district, which I'll call a transfer station now, can still bring their recyclables there. Now, they used to be able to bring them without having a permit. That is no longer the case starting on July 1st. Anyone who routinely, and I want to emphasize that word, routinely wants to go and leave their recyclables there will need to have an access permit. That access permit costs $35, and to be very clear, since there are a lot of transactions that are handled by the district clerk, anyways, the fellow who takes your money when you go in.
The gatehouse.
Gatehouse, right. It's $1. It's $1 for transaction fee. So be prepared to pay $36. And then anything that you take for recycling, as far as I know, it's all going into one bin at the moment. There's some opportunity perhaps to still keep it separated for cardboard, but that remains to be seen.
Can I just ask, Michelle, I'm a little confused.
Sure.
I understand that the permit costs $35,
Mm-hmm.
but you said that it would cost $36.
There's a transaction fee.
So we could really say it costs $36,
Yes.
right?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Sure.
And do you get it at the gatehouse?
Yes,
Not in the offices?
correct.
At the gatehouse?
At the gatehouse.
So just to
We'll
clarify,
take this
you
slow.
know, the first time we go down, after the bins go away here, we'll buy a sticker for $35, and then every time after I bring my recycling down there, I'll pay $1 to,
No,
no, okay.
there is no transaction at that point where you're paying for
Okay,
anything.
but the
You-
first time,
Correct.
all right.
Just, now, we are dealing with
I
just
thought- I thought I-
recycling.
Okay, but it is
Nope.
36, not
36.
35.
It is
okay,
$36.
And the $1 is for the permit, not for leaving your recycling?
It's for the transaction that you just made with the.
To purchase the permit?
Yes, to purchase the permit,
Has nothing to do with your recycling that you're
Correct.
bringing?
Okay,
correct.
now,
And they
now
all,
I'm clear.
they only take checks and cash, no credit cards. Have they changed that?
That has changed, actually, longer ago than I was aware. They will accept, I'm sure, MasterCard and Visa, and I didn't take a picture of the sign, I apologize. However, they are passing through what is the fee that those services charge. So there's an extra 3% fee, because that's what credit cards do. So if you'd like to use your credit card, be prepared to pay an extra 3% of whatever you're charging on it.
Okay,
So I drove away and went home and got my checkbooks. And of course, they like cash too. They haven't reached the PayPal stage yet, but let's not go there this year.
So just procedurally then, so you gotta go to the gatehouse, which is basically the scale house.
The scale house,
To
yes.
pay for your sticker and
Yeah.
your transaction fee. For just, and if you're gonna cover this later, just say I'm gonna do it later, but, so when, after you do that the first time, if you're just going there to recycle, do you need to go across the scale?
Yes, you do.
Oh, even just to recycle?
You will have your access permit, hopefully affixed to your car windshield. It has to be confirmed every time you go there to use their services. This is true at every transfer station, we just haven't encountered it yet.
Okay, but if you're just taking recycling,
Yes,
then there'll be no additional fee.
correct.
Okay, you just have to.
If you have your permit,
Yeah, okay,
correct.
okay.
And if that's all you're bringing in,
Oh, yep. Mhm.
that's
Okay.
it. That is the recycling story.
Okay.
How else can I give you, what else can I tell you?
Okay,
About-
let's talk about private trash haulers. and
Sure.
What they do.
Sure. Well, for the vast majority of what's gone past, private haulers used to just pick up garbage, trash, rubbish. But then the state passed Act 148, and they made it so that the state was required to also pick up recycling. The goal of the entire Act 148 is to reduce the amount of items that were going into landfills. And so the state saw fit to include several different kinds of items and then put it on a schedule to have it be implemented on a schedule. The first thing that was implemented, of course, was recycling had to be picked up by haulers. Well, that's a pretty big change for the haulers. And most of them at this point, I think, that wanted to continue to be haulers have worked out what services they're going to offer. Now, they are not permitted to charge any customer an additional fee just for picking up recycling. However, because and if they had to bring around a new truck or change the number of visits they had to make to your house or change the route, it therefore incurred further expense for them. And so it is my understanding that some of the haulers may have in fact included, additional fees for these additional services, not necessarily just recycling. So those people who have for many years now, I'll include myself because it was new to me when I moved to Dummerston 27 years ago, I had to hire a hauler. And I pay a hauler to come and take my trash. And so if I wish, I can call the hauler and say, hi, when are you picking up recyclables and what, if any, are your additional fees? Now, I personally haven't done that. I haven't because I've always taken recycling to bins since I was 19. I'm hard to retrain at this age. And I think I just want to keep taking it down to the waste district, to the transfer station there. I bought my permit for this coming year this week. So I'm all set to take everything there. I don't need to have a hauler take it away. Now some folks perhaps create so much recycling that they would find it convenient. And I know that every hauler has a different rate structure. So it's a call from the resident to the hauler. They should get in touch with their hauler and say, when do you pick it up and what are your fees, if any?
So you mentioned that you purchased your access permit.
Yes, it's close enough to the 30th.
So they will sell you a July 1st to June
Yes.
30th access permit now. You don't have
Yes.
to wait until July 1st.
Correct.
Okay, because
That's right.
anytime you buy it after July 1st, it's still July 1st through June
30th.
30th.
that's
So
correct.
you could wait until October to buy it, but it would still just cover the year July 1st to June 30th.
There is no prorating on that fee. If you decided to buy it in May next year, you would still pay your $36.
Right.
So I recommend for folks who plan to go to Old Ferry Road transfer station that they buy the permit. There's another option. The option is if you think you want to go perhaps twice in an entire year, you can pay a per day access permit fee, which, to the best of my knowledge, is currently $10.
That's what I think it is.
Yes, yes. And it's good for that one day. That's it.
So you could bring whatever you would like that one day, correct?
Well,
For recycling?
Right,
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
You mean like a trailer load?
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, or the, I'm back of my truck full,
Exactly.
yeah. Okay,
You're talking only recycling,
right,
correct?
yeah.
I have not had anyone define to me that there is a limit for what you can bring in for recycling, except unless you are carrying too much that it will overflow, and completely fill up the roll-off bins.
so for those people who do not have do not pay a trash hauler,
Mm-hmm.
those people are likely already used to Ferry Road, because one
Yeah.
would think that if they don't have a trash hauler, that's where they're taking their trash, and they're familiar with having to pay per weight or
Mm.
how much they have in
Per
the
bag.
right,
Yes,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I would have thought so. I thought I was going to do that when I moved here. My husband said, "We are not taking our trash, dear. We will hire someone to take it for us."
Yeah.
And
And so some people might change and have to and choose to now hire a hauler, and the hauler will be an advantage in a way because they'll take also the recycling. Before, if you hired a hauler, you still had to take your recycling. That was two
Yes.
things. But now, if you hire a hauler, it makes things more efficient for you because they take everything now. So that's a benefit.
Yes.
Michelle, I just heard that the bins are also going away in Newfane. And I don't know if you've heard that, but and I would ask if you have heard that, but also, do you know what the plans are in Putney?
You'll excuse me while I shuffle a little bit of paper here because I may actually have a list that indicates who may or may not keep them.
And for those towns that are keeping them, the town residents, through their tax payments, will pay for a hauler to come pick those up. They've
Correct.
added money to their budget to cover the cost of a hauler coming and emptying those bins.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
There is a other option for your trash, and that's triple T's
Mhm.
on 142.
Correct.
So people on the west side, instead of coming all the way over, they can just go down on 142. But you pay by the weight. So your recyclables included. So you can bring trash and recyclables.
Right to the triple T
Yep.
station,
Yes.
which is on 142.
Yes.
My impression from the meeting last week, and you may know this, I only just heard, is that there is no access permit available at Triple T. You actually pay a fee to
Yeah.
access them every time you go.
It's
So that's important to point
right.
out.
It's you pay by the pound, and there's a minimum. I believe it's like $18. So if you're going to go there, it'd be probably better to bring your trash also.
And a minimum of $18, so
I think it's a minimum. I'm
That's
not
how
sure
much
on that
I
number,
wonder.
but it's 12 to 18 somewhere in there. But it's all on
you won't have a
one.
lot of trash.
Yeah,
Sometimes they do.
it's.
Yeah.
I don't know how much a bag costs at the district for
$3.
trash.
$3
$3 a
for
bag.
3. Right. $3 for up to 3 bags, and if you go over 3 bags, there's a minimum disposal fee, and that's just for up to 100 pounds, you pay $15.
Oh, so it's $1 a bag,
Nope,
or is it?
$3 a bag.
So it's $9.
what's
a-
$9 for
what's
three
a-
Plus
bags.
What's a
the
bag?
transaction fee.
Like one of those big plastic bags?
32
We've
gallon
always
trash
gone to,
bag or
Triple
smaller
T
is how it's here.
Okay. I've always just paid $10 for what was in the back of my car. But maybe that's changed.
Well,
32.
that's interesting. they would have had to have looked in the back of your card, and probably that used to be the minimum disposal fee.
Right.
As I recall, was $10. It's probably changed to $15 now.
Okay.
That's if they looked in and saw multiple things,
Yeah.
Like more than 3 bags.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
usually
they
there's, when I've
pay
gone
the
down, there's like
minimum.
a base, if you're over the 3, then there's a minimum fee of whatever, it's
$15.
$15,
Okay.
unless you hit a pound limit when you come
Right.
back, and then it's prorated by the ton.
So there's not that much difference between 15 and 18. There's a big difference between 10
Right, and I'm not
18.
sure if it's 18,
Right.
I think it's
Okay.
like between 12 and 18, I'm not.
Okay.
Other fees.
All right, so it's similar.
Okay, so someone who wanted to use Triple T would be best to call them and get the details.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But Triple T is another option.
Yeah.
So Michelle, just out of curiosity, say, most of the questions got answered here, but with the potential increase in traffic down there, the
Yeah.
traffic flow is not that conducive to efficiency.
Right.
Are you guys gonna
It's
like
not.
monitor that and maybe try to
Well,
rearrange it?
already been the subject of some unofficial discussions, and at our last meeting on June 8th, absolutely, they will be changing the layout
Okay.
and changing where the bins are located, and very likely adding extra bins.
Yeah, I figured, I was hoping, that's good.
I cannot answer for the final, destination of where the bins go, but I believe that once you drive off the scale, you're in all cases having to turn right. And I believe it will remain the same like that, where you turn right. There's a very good chance, I can't promise, but there's a good chance that all the recycling bins will then be located there. So that you will make a loop. In fact, you would have made that loop anyway, no matter what kind of product or item you were bringing, whether it was, trash or electronics recyclables or, some paint waste or any of those things. You would always have to go across the scale, have your access permit read, and then go around the corner, and that's where you then drive to your destination of wherever you're dropping things off. Now with recycle, if you have your access permit, you will not pay any more money for the rest of the year, as long as you have the permit. With other things, of course, other items, there are different fees associated with them.
What will be the hours of operation for recycling?
That is also still 8:30 until 3 o'clock. And that was the other big discussion on the last meeting
I bet.
was, gosh, we need to have extended hours, something that goes beyond. And some folks there had been there long enough to remember when they had a later Wednesday night. So that's being put together by the management and the staff. And when there was discussion of won't that cost extra money and so on and so forth, the short answer is no, because there are enough staff, presumably, so that one could come in to start early and another one would stagger their hours and come in later, and they would be the last one to leave and to lock up.
Is that 8:30 to 3, 7 days a week?
No, it's only ever been 5 days a week, and Saturday is 8:30 until noon. Now,
Okay.
the Board of Supervisors will have more information furnished to us at the July meeting to talk about what's being suggested as options for more convenient hours for residents.
When's the July meeting?
Oh, second Tuesday.
Okay.
Sorry, my small brain is
Second
Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 11th.
correct. Oh, is that so? Excuse me, I meant Thursday.
Oh,
I am
Thursday.
sorry, it's
The
the
13th.
13th. And there is, I regret to say, a very good chance that Mr. Dunkley will be attending that meeting rather than me.
We can cut you some slack once in a while.
Thank you so much.
Michelle, this is a question that I was going to ask our trash hauler, but those of us that have been taking our recycling to the bins here in town, we do so, and we've got these, recycling bags that we take, and people in Brattleboro have these, I guess, district bins that they put out. I was quite serious when I asked, where do you buy these things?
Brattleboro bought their own. They are the entity that distributed them to their residents. They may have bought them through the district, but I don't want to speak of a transaction I don't know about.
Right, but I mean, if we're gonna, put recycling out for our private haulers, I mean, these things, you want them pretty sturdy, I imagine. You just
Maybe your trash hauler has something to offer.
They might.
Well, when I called mine to switch mine over for next month, they said as long as it's a clean container, so you can just have a trash can if you want. They know that this is recycle day, so it's just a normal trash can. You don't need anything special for the recycles. But if you mark it, some people mark it, but it doesn't take anything.
Yeah,
you just have a trash can.
Yeah, so my trash hauler said the same thing. They just don't want recycling in plastic bags.
Right.
No plastic bags in their recycling.
Yeah.
But said, one bin is fine. We can mix paper, cardboard, glass. They will take yogurt containers, which haven't been. They'll take egg cartons. So they seem to be taking a little bit more than the district.
Well,
so
it's one more thing that has to be removed from the recycling stream, even though it's going to an automated, facility. I can guarantee that egg cartons, unless they're plastic, which is probably type 1, they're useful. But the ones that are like cardboard, those are compostable. So if and when we reach that point where we're required to compost our kitchen waste and anything organic, we'll get
let's
there.
not jump ahead.
Right, that's not for several.
We don't want to get into that. We could talk
Not
about
for
that.
several years. It's coming.
Yes,
It's the law.
We'll invite
But
you back.
that's the future.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, so, it's going to be single stream, so it's paper, where I have boxes for my wine bottles here, my
Returnables.
newspapers here.
I thought your beer bottles.
The
Those
returnables.
are my nickel, that's
Yeah, don't lose
That's
that.
like a nickel,
Sorry,
right?
I'm not gonna use that
Well,
nickel, I'm a cheapskate from day one. So now I can just have one,
to the best of my knowledge,
Yeah.
that is the case.
that's the case. Okay.
Because anyone who comes to take away recycling now is almost certainly going to haul it to Casella's facility in Rutland, Vermont. And I've seen that in operation. The district saw it several years ago. We had a tour. And yes, there is a lot of mechanization. That's not the only one we've seen. We've seen one in Connecticut and one somewhere else. There's a lot of machinery that moves a lot of items, and there's still people there that are still, taking things out of the stream. Because they're still doing the same thing, they're just trying to collect like items and reconsolidate them and then bail them up and sell them. And yes, I know, you can put cartons in there from yogurt.
So
But I can tell you now, they're being sorted out.
okay, I'm just following
Yeah.
the directions they're giving me.
Everybody should go to Casella's.
The
Pretty
other
exciting.
Yeah, oh, see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's the way of the future.
And so you mentioned earlier, my trash hauler is saying, okay, well, right now he picks up trash just every other week, and then, but now we'll go to a schedule where he picks up trash one week, then he'll pick up the recycling the next, and that's how a lot of them are operating, I guess, proposing, so.
I have to assume that will work. I'm sorry, I only hear it based on information that, residents or you give me. The truth is that I stopped creating one bag of trash once a week about 5 years ago, and I put out one bag a month. So I'm sorry, I just recycle everything I can, although that's gotten a little bigger now because of, the things that I know can't be recycled.
Okay.
We should talk to Suzanne Weinberg. I think she's got you beat.
I don't know about that. Does she contribute to the Rich Earth Institute?
So, we'll have another talk with you sometime soon.
Okay.
So, Are there any other questions?
No, I think we've done a good
Thank you
job.
for joining
Oh,
us.
so Lori Frechette is going to do a townwide, or she's proposing to do a townwide mailing. So maybe, I don't know if you want to just check in with her?
Yeah, it'd be good if Michelle read through what
Yeah,
was gonna be sent out to make sure that it's accurate.
Oh, yeah, I'll take a look at it.
Great.
Sure, if
Okay.
I have any questions, I'll call down to the district and just get a triple check. I
Great.
would think that this little tiny bit that I had sent out to this resident is probably sufficient for what most people need to know, because the list of things that can be taken there for fee is enormous, and so I just
Mhm.
passed along the web page
Right.
address.
right.
I will point out, however, that the resident asked the question, are we on our own, or is the town not engaged in guiding an efficient system? And as I answered her, the town's involvement has never been as a participant in the residents' disposal of trash,
Right.
ever, that I know of. And I said it's always been the residents' responsibility. The only thing that changed was there has been this time, since there's been recycling at the district, that there have been roll-off bins here. But now that the roll-off bins are going away, it is still not under the purview of the town unless the select board hears from all the residents that they wish to have that service and they wish to pay for it.
Right.
So that's how I answered her.
Good.
Right.
Um,
So that's, if we hear from enough people, then we will consider that.
Sure,
But it's a substantial fee.
Yes, right.
it has the potential.
Yeah.
It would be third in line after the schools and roads, I
Right.
would expect.
Yeah.
So,
I got a question on, has anyone ever researched about getting putting the town or sections of the town out to bid for hauling? So we can either do it in districts or, and then just putting it would be added to the taxes. But
You
if
mean
it
like
was,
Brattleboro?
right, if it was $400 a year per household in Dummerston, then that would be, of course, having to be added to the taxes, but every resident would be able to recycle, just say 2 bags of trash a week, and they get their recyclables picked up. And I think that it's going to be cheaper than, what Zeke is paying, or,
Do you want to start? the
I would like
committee?
to. I think it's a good way to keep the town clean. And if you said 2 bags of trash and recyclables picked up, and do it like the fire department has zones in town for route alerting, or so then you put it out to bid to the 3 or 4 trash haulers, and do each zone separate, so then they can't say that they don't have the opportunity to bid on. It might be one trash hauler gets it all, and you can even do zones, and then the whole town, as a collective, and then just set a limit. And so if the trash hauler comes to my house and I have 4 bags of trash out there, they only take 2, because that's all is allowed.
So, yes.
I think it'd be
remember
cheaper.
this came up several years ago. Someone proposed just a town-wide, trash and recycling pickup. So I guess we need someone to look into this some more.
Yeah, I really wouldn't mind.
What
I
about
think
all the people who already have trash haulers and they would stop doing that?
Yeah, you would actually stop doing that and say, I'm thinking Franklin, but that's just because I've seen him around. But if Franklin got the west side of town, then he would pick up yours
Everybody.
and Hughes, instead of, you might have Franklin, you might have Triple T,
Right.
and it would be just like Brattleboro, but instead of having bags that people have to come to the town clerk's office and buy, you're just allowed 2 bags. And if he comes to your house, you have more, then,
He doesn't pick it up.
right, exactly. And granted, for some households, But recycling, they pick up anyways. It'd be recycling also.
So it's worth looking into.
Yeah.
And
Do you want to want me to put you on the agenda for in a couple of weeks
Right.
to
Yep,
give us?
yep, I'll do it.
Okay.
Everyone think 2 bags though?
No,
Or just,
how
have
about
it
we
open?
start with a concept?
okay, right.
Yeah, and I wanna ask the trash haulers about it.
Right, that's what we're gonna
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, see how they think about it.
In this concept, if you think of it that way today, here we have Mr. and Mrs. Haller, and they've got their, database set up so that they've got 100 customers in Dummerston, and they send them their bills every month. And we, of course, would do it differently as a town, but it would be up to the town to keep track of who is or isn't part of this program instead of the hauler. Because if we contracted as an entity, the town of, then that work to keep track of who is in or out of that group.
Well, I don't know.
I would do it,
Calls to
everybody.
Everybody.
Just
Everybody.
everybody. You don't
It'd be
have to
everybody.
keep
You
track
wouldn't
of
have a
it.
choice.
It's just a district.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're
Town
saying
wide.
this is a town
Become a
service.
municipal
Yeah.
service.
So it could become more
You are
streamlined.
talking about
Right, it'd be a lot
municipal
more
services.
streamlined.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
So-
I mean, the thing is, things end up changing incrementally, and
Yeah.
you orient to them, and then all of a sudden you're in this place, and it's like, why are we here? So I think your suggestion, Lee, is a good one, even though it feels like, oh my God, that's a big change. But
yeah.
in the end, looking at the longer term,
Oh, yeah.
it might be much more administratively streamlined.
Yeah.
And that's why I'd want to ask the trash haulers what kind of impact it would be on them before we, that's a big part of the research.
Right, and I think it's like if you spend $400 right now for trash, I think it's not gonna be a lot less, it's gonna be probably, in the $300 range, but you'll save $100, even though it will be put on your taxes, you pay it twice a year instead of once a month.
And it keeps it off the roads.
Right, and it keeps it
I
off the road,
understand
out of the
your
garage.
concern. Yes, I understand your concern in taking it on as a town service offered.
Lee, you indicated at our last meeting, I guess there was gonna be a sign up at the
Yeah.
yard, letting people know that, I take it that is there?
Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't maybe make it, just like we wanted, but, one of the guys made it up one day, and I think it's been up long enough so that, it says the bins are gonna be removed on the 30th. It doesn't really say where to bring the stuff, cause time you write that all out, the address to,
Yeah.
I think most people will get
You're right.
the picture. It's pretty
Okay. All
I
right.
hope so.
Gail had her hand up.
Yes, Gail.
I take our trash to the solid waste district, and I'm
Yes.
just wondering, can any of you give a ballpark of what you pay per month, or if you're willing to do so, or a range of what your fees are?
Okay, so for picking up twice a month or
Right.
every other week for trash, I pay $28.
Okay, very reasonable.
I pay $40 a month for a weekly service.
Okay. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If I gave you a couple bucks, would you swing by my house?
Actually, I'm known as the trash lady in our house. I take it about every 10 days or so, yeah.
Yes, I have that title.
Okay, well, any other questions?
Nope.
All right, so, thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks so
Happy-
much.
Happy to spend the time, happy to answer any questions that I know, and if I don't know, I'll find
We'll
it.
have BCTV scroll your home number on the screen, so, day or night.
Gosh, thanks.
The show is standing by 24 hours a day to take your calls.
I lived that life once, never again.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Michelle. Thanks for coming in.
Happy summer. And, I'm sure we'll talk again.
Oh, I suspect we will. Thanks.
Trash is not going away.
No, it never will.
Well, let's see, moving on. The road foreman's report.
Yeah,
So,
excited to see you here today. I thought it might be too exhausting. Jeez,
That's great.
quite the week.
okay.
So, I don't know if you want an explanation about the washing before we go through the.
They're on camera.
Thank you.
Yes.
What's going on?
So,
We
whoops, I'm
we
sorry.
sort of want to, yeah, give us whatever information you feel we.
So on Monday, the town got hit with anywhere between 2.5 and 5 inches of rain, depending on where in town. So we had quite a bit of washing of the roads. Same thing, sticks, logs, everything from up in the woods came down, plugged the culverts and washed. Or there was just way too much water for the culverts. Down along Route 5 seemed to get hit the hardest. So we called the state and to get the emergency grant, we found out that we needed $18,000 worth of damage to apply. So what they do is they come out, they look at all the roads. They're looking for anything that is 12 inches or more in depth to qualify. So, oh, sorry about that.
So gullies that are more than 12 inches in depth?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And so anyways, looking at the roads, we had, 21 of them that qualified for that. And there's approximately $28,000 in damage. So that makes us eligible for this emergency grant, which the state pays 90% of the money.
Of the 28,000 or the amount over 18,000?
Of the 28,000.
Okay.
Of the total. They actually will pay for our labor also to fix them. So everything's included, backhoe, grader, private contractors. The night of the storm, we had 2 private contractors working with us to get the culverts opened. And then over the last couple days, there's been one contractor and another one also going to do one project. So qualifying helps us actually because we can, we only have to pay 10%, and that's actually it's not called in-kind work, but it will be in-kind work because we'll have over $10,000 in labor and equipment use, or over 10% to fix this. Mark Pickering from the state came up and he explained the process. Tuckery Bridge was the same process. That was one project. This is the whole town. He gave Zeke some wording on how to apply for the grant. And
This was at the meeting today at 2?
yes. Yes.
So we can just take a moment. We have a letter here. It just says, to Mark Pickering, as a result of the heavy rains on June 19th, 2017, the town of Dummerston experienced significant damage to many of the town roadways. The widespread nature and amount of damage presents a financial hardship to the town. The Dummerston Selectboard is requesting financial assistance to help with the expense of repairing these damaged roadways. So this is what we need to send in order to apply for these funds, emergency funds.
And it doesn't have any amount in it, it's just
No.
saying that we are in support of applying for the funds.
Yes,
So we need them.
yes.
I was just gonna say, I move that we send that letter.
Okay,
I guess we all sign it.
I would second it.
all right, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we sign it, we'll send it out.
Oh, thank you. with the grant, of course, every project has to be documented, where the gravel goes, where the stone goes, who did it, how many hours it took with each piece of equipment. So we're gonna have, this is something that Lori and I came up with, but we're gonna do a spreadsheet for every road, and then it will kind of, that's just the first draft. But it will, that's how we're gonna
So
document
this
it.
will help you, yeah.
And it helps them because they have to review each one. And they have measurements of how much washing actually happens, so then they can review to see if we use too much or that kind of thing.
Great, well, I'm glad that Lori's helping you do that.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Yeah, it's once we get going, it's not
Yeah.
gonna be too bad.
Uh-huh.
It's just a matter of getting everybody to write down the right information so you can transfer it over.
Right.
Lee, I understand there's 2 roads that you're gonna use private contractors
Yes.
on. Which roads are those?
Okay, so, Grover, our, Grover Services, they've been working for us. They did Middle Road Corner today, down there where it had washed. I don't know if ever, I don't know.
Is that where
Zeke
like
had seen it.
gravel's dumped down
Yeah.
there, stones dumped?
Well, right up on the sharp corner.
Okay,
There was a couple of spots on
oh, okay.
Middle Road, but they helped there. They're doing a stone line ditch on Tucker Reed Road. They're gonna do one on Miller's Hill tomorrow. And then they're gonna do one, these are all fairly small projects. And then 200-foot section on Bunker Road, what also is a stone line ditch. The other one is 3-foot ledge down on Green Hole Road where the larger culvert crosses. Trees came down the brook and plugged it, and it ran over. And then there's a small spot out on Old Canoe Road where they're going to do the same thing, 2-foot ledge, bigger stuff. But other than that, we're going to, well, a 10-wheeler, they've been using a 10-wheeler to help us too, Grover's, hauling gravel. But other than that, we're going to take care of it ourselves. We pretty much, I don't want to say we have to regrade the whole town, but it's pretty much regrading the whole town. There's washing, even if it's not 12 inches deep, there's washing pretty much on, I would say 70% of the roads. So.
Just one other one, I don't know if you saw it, but on Corey Road, right by the swimming hole, there's a culvert that goes underneath the road there.
Okay.
And that part on the east side of the road it was still flowing water, but it wasn't quite coming over the road, but I got a feeling that one's your next one to plug up if somebody hasn't seen that one yet.
That is our goal with actually hiring the contractors, is to do some of the longer projects, because that's what we're doing with our backhoe. It takes 2 people, the backhoe and a dump truck, and going around opening up all the culverts, just so if it doesn't rain, or if it rains again, then.
Yeah, I was making it, but there was a lot of debris in there that started to come up.
There's quite a few,
So just
that way.
one more to add to your list if you haven't seen it.
Yep. I don't know what else is.
So how did it go on Monday, Lee, just in terms of you having to deal with things and calls and, I mean, is there anything we can do better in that kind of situation?
We did have Don, the emergency management director, come in.
And did that help?
Yeah, that definitely helps. On this situation, we got it sort of under control. We were working on this side, and when we went to the west side, there wasn't that much. So, I think she had probably 3 hours, if I was going to guess. Yeah, it's hectic.
Yeah.
The problem is that, once you leave this side of the hill, you don't have cell service.
Right.
And so when you come back, there's like 5 messages and.
But was she able to get you on the radio?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another reason to have somebody here. And Lori's done it in the past, or Charlotte, that, if you can't communicate, this radio is a lot better, so they can kind of relay for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I called and talked to her. That's a good question. Is that number, I just dialed it because I had it in my phone, but is that number readily accessible to people to call her if they need to, like in the town?
The
Well, the emergency
management.
management number, I called her, she answered right away, and I could hear you guys on the radio
Yeah.
behind her. But I mean, say if some citizen had to call her,
How would
because
they
the town
know?
office is closed, how do they know?
I was
What number
thinking
to call?
she was answering the town line.
Because when I hit call, it didn't say town of Dummerston, so it wasn't, so I think it might, I'll look, because I'm
Yeah, I got
I
her
think
cell
it's a
phone
different-
number if you wanna look it up, but it's,
No, I called the 254 number, but it, normally if you just hit a number and it's in your phone as a registered contact with town of Dummerston, it didn't.
I think they have a separate line for up here.
Yeah, so I think we should, I would think
Yeah,
we would
that would
want
be
that
a
number to
good
be
number
available to
Yeah, I
any,
think it would be out there.
yeah,
Yeah, you would think it might be.
because you're gonna call the office, nobody's gonna answer the phone.
Right.
Yeah,
So we need to,
Is it on there?
Yeah.
okay, so
The
it's
problem-
on the views.
oh, it
She's
is.
on the back
Okay.
of the views, as is, of course, the town office too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a 257.
I kind of thought she was answering your phone and then relaying things.
No.
But she wasn't picking
I
up,
wonder if even.
when people couldn't get you, she wasn't picking those up.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a good question to take up with her. And
yeah.
It's kind of one of
The hardest thing,
And
and people have called the state police. Honestly, that's a lot of people get hold of me that way. Like Middle, of course, we already knew Middle Road was flooding, but the state police called and somebody had called them, and so then they called. So a lot of people do use the state police, not that they really want those calls.
Yeah, I wouldn't think they got enough to want to.
Well, there's probably a non-emergency number.
Right, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But even still.
right.
It'd be
It could
good
be.
if we developed a protocol that was a little more direct.
Yeah, and it is hard, because it all depends on time of day and where you
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
And a lot of times during an event like that, it's not necessarily, she just doesn't show up. I usually call
Right.
and tell her when, it's a good time.
I mean, I'm also
Yeah.
thinking about you, because you're having to like deal with things and you're organizing your crew, and so the people calling are upset and emotional sometimes,
Yep.
and you're not necessarily in the best state to deal with them and
Right.
be patient and understanding, and so
Yeah, pretty much when an event like that happens with only 4 people, I mean, I'm running a piece of equipment.
Right.
So it's, if I'm in a good spot, I'll pick up, and if
Right.
I'm not,
good.
I won't.
Yeah. You'll take a message
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
listen to it and then deal
Right,
with it.
but
Give
even
yourself.
listening to messages gets old real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's gotta be a central point of contact.
Yeah.
'Cause you don't
Yeah.
want to be disturbed.
Like,
Can I ask a
Right.
question?
Yeah.
I've always been curious about this particular circumstance, the one you're describing here, it is an emergency, and you need to be doing what you're doing, and I don't know at the moment what is our emergency management coordinator's function, or if it's just automatic that she just comes into place or he comes into place. I don't remember either if we have a secondary person for that, and I've never asked the town if we've ever used Citizens Emergency Response, the CERT folks, for anything, because those are just volunteers that are residents that can take the training and become certified to be available in emergencies.
So Don Hubbard is our emergency management director.
Right,
Carol Wood is the assistant
Okay.
emergency management
okay.
person. As far as the CERT people, I don't know anything about that.
CERT,
So,
okay,
but Dawn might be the person who
yeah.
we could direct those questions to.
I may give her a call or an email just to ask her, because one would hope we have a hierarchy of people. I'm used to it from a business standpoint, not for natural emergencies, but for computer and telecom. But I'm used to always being on call, and I've always wondered, who's going to stand in or sit in or be in that place where they
So
can handle
Dawn has
calls.
come, and there was another time, was it during the winter?
Yeah, I think so.
She's come in,
Right.
Mhm.
you know,
To
been
be here.
taken calls, and
Yeah.
What's the EOC?
that's the emergency.
Emergency.
Operations
Is that
Center.
is it 257? That's-
I've got 3470488 and 2448721. I don't know where those
So
numbers
we've
go.
got to get this.
Yeah, we
straightened
should.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you just go through like, you know, it's Dawn, and then
And then
if she didn't answer,
it's
then,
Carol.
it's Zeke.
It's not Carol.
And it's,
Well, it's always Zeke anyway.
it's,
Well,
you know.
I have a great interest, just to,
Sure.
say,
What, we should
you
get
know,
this
for emergencies.
yeah, straightened out so people know who to call, what number to call.
I used to document this.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Really? So
but,
you'll keep working on that.
yeah, I think
Okay.
it's,
Uh,
we did, or I did postpone Bunker Road until, I just don't feel comfortable until we get the budget all straightened out. I think it can wait. But all the other projects, have been completed. We did finish the roof, putting the last bit of it on Monday,
The roof.
on the, shed up at the highway garage.
Okay.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Good. All right.
Well, thank you.
All right, good night.
yeah, but say, look,
I love you all. I have to go eat dinner. See you later. Talk to you later.
Okay. So, anything under correspondence for information you want to go over?
Excuse me.
Okay. Under correspondence for discussion or action, let's see. This is a municipal impact questionnaire for the Carpenter subdivision. Let's see, on Carpenter Road, they're looking just to confirm, you know, services, rescue services, solid waste disposal, questions that will help them on this Act 250 process. What would you like to do?
Well, the last 3 blocks that aren't checked, I don't quite follow those 3. Do they mean anything or?
Let's see. Would deficiencies occur without this project?
I don't understand I guess I don't know how they fit.
Yeah,
Maybe that's
I
good.
I don't quite know if that question is really
I mean,
appropriate.
the police, septic, all that, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So should we just make a note, like an NA or something
Yeah,
next to
I would,
those?
that's how I would
Okay.
deal with it, or leave it blank, or just say, their last question is, are you available with sufficient notice to answer questions related to the above statements?
Mhm.
I could check that.
Yeah, the NA there too. In that case, I'll move that I don't have any problem signing that. Doesn't seem to be any impact.
So, I'll second that.
Okay. I'll just add a not
Or, yeah, I move we sign the Act 250 impact.
okay, and we've got a second. All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Can we see that? Sure, yeah. Okay, let's see, under new business, we have a vacancy on the Conservation Commission, and we have a candidate for the Conservation Commission.
I would move that we appoint Judy Fink to fill the unfinished term of
Deb Dwyer.
Deb Ayers.
Deb Ayer, right,
Deb Ayer, which goes until 2020,
yes, town meeting 2020.
to the Conservation Commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I'll let her know.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Oh, we have the Windham County Humane Society's contract for fiscal year 18. The amount
I didn't see it, I'm not sure where it is.
staying the same. I hope it's under new business. Where's new business? $466. There it is. Pretty concise. Nothing really changing. Let's see. It just says what what they will do, what they won't do. So residents, several years ago, you had to go through the animal control officer to get an animal, a stray taken there. But residents, if they find a dog wandering around, they can take, or a cat, they can take the animal to the
Humane Society.
yes, themselves.
Mhm.
So they don't have.
And they accept it because we pay, because we have a contract.
Contract with them, yeah. So,
I move that we approve the contract with the Humane Society.
Second that motion.
How long have we had a contract with the Humane Society?
Gee, I don't know how long,
Uh-huh.
actually.
And is it a help to you as animal control officer?
Definitely, yes. Yes, they provide important service to residents and their animals. Yeah, so I don't know how long, yes.
Did they provide any information on how many animals were
They
dropped
did,
off
they-
there
they-
they had from Dummerston?
They usually do,
Yeah.
but they,
Not this time.
they didn't this.
Yeah, I was
this
curious
time.
about that too, Gail, thanks for asking.
Yeah,
I still think it's a good service. You need to have it just in case the occasion comes up.
and it often does, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay, so this just takes one signature, I'll sign that. Okay, Tom authorized. Okay, so, moving on. So, Lori Frechette would like to send out a mailing to residents regarding their recycling options. And just wanted to run that past us, if we were okay with that.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, I think it'll save her a lot of calls and, the better informed people are.
Mhm.
And I think we've worked pretty hard to use all the channels that we have. But I think that reaches more people than any other channel that we have.
Mhm.
So it helps her be more efficient in her work, for sure.
Okay, so I don't think we need a motion on this one, but we're generally
Yep.
Yep.
okay.
So,
And I think it would be a good thing, I think it'd be in the end, a support to Lori to have Michelle look over the letter.
Okay, so I'll let Lori know. Moving on, HS 122, the I think it's the Homestead Declaration form. Lori, people forget to file that sometimes. Lori and Charlotte are sending out reminders, trying to get people to take care of that. In the past, the select board has set penalties for late payments, and some years there have been no penalties for late payments. The current thinking, or at least the last decision or two that the select board has made was in favor of no penalties for this, because it was felt that people only got the penalty if they came forward to pay their HS 122, and so it was kind of a disincentive to pay if you were going to
Right.
be penalized when you finally got around to paying this. So,
And I think that makes good sense. I don't know if we need a motion, but, you know, that,
how about a motion, if you want, to continue the 0% or no penalty for late filers?
Yeah, I'd like to have a little more discussion, so let's just make the motion and.
okay. I move then that we not assess a penalty for late filers.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion?
So, my understanding from our discussion last year is that it's a challenge that is exacerbated by the state that doesn't process things. I mean, it's really the state's responsibility to get these funds for people. And yet we're the one that assesses a penalty, and so the enforcement of that ends up in our laps when really it's the state's responsibility. And they're not really being able to follow through. I mean, I'm not passing judgment. I mean, it's about a labor force, I think, labor force problem. Is that accurate?
My understanding is that it should be the state that is looking into this and
Yes.
and following up.
And our town staff members have contacted the state, and we've done all that we can to help this
Right,
along.
and the town office has traditionally sent reminders and tried to
And,
help and actually help people fill it out.
and understand
Mhm.
why it's important
Yeah.
and all of that.
Okay, any more discussion?
It'd be interesting to compare those that don't file with perhaps the voter checklist,
Yeah. Mhm.
but anyway.
Okay, so, motion to have no penalty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. I'll let Lori know. Zeros. Okay. Unfinished business. Options for the Miller Fund investments.
If you could pass me the file,
Go into tracks
Or
and find the
unfinished business.
unfinished business. Yellow, I know it's yellow. Here, all right. And what is that? Let's see. There it is.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
This is a matter actually that I want to thank you for bringing this to our attention. The Miller Fund was established back in the 1930s by Fred Miller under his last will and testament dated January 29, 1931. It specifies that the interest and income from the estate is to be used and expended by the Select Board for the temporary care and needy minor children of the town of Dummerston. And we recently approved the distribution from the Miller Fund for some scholarships to Green Mountain Camp, which I think is a wonderful facility. I'm not sure they quite fall into the temporary care of needy minor children, but what I understand is that some of the things that maybe have been paid for in the past, such as eyeglasses and hearing aids and the like, are perhaps now paid by Medicaid, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would suggest is that we actually have a discussion with the school nurse on both the amount of disbursements and what might be what perhaps is being done to ascertain need in both our schools and elsewhere. So I really would suggest that we have her in here. I guess this might be a good time. I just got these figures from Laurie Frichette this afternoon. And again, those words are we're to expend the interest and income. The income earned, during the current fiscal year, and the fund, by the way, is in a money market account yielding 0.18%. Interest earned for the last year was $133.84. We recently approved the disbursement of $1,300. Last year, FY16, we earned $156 and expended $2,129. I've long felt that the Miller Fund was not appropriately invested, and I think this was one of the reasons that I worked on the policy that we adopted last year, which is called Trustee of Public Funds Restricted Funds Investment Policy, that authorizes other investments in things like mutual funds for funds like this, which I consider to be an endowment. And as I wrote, it appears that we've really not been following the guidelines, which I should have mentioned. These were adopted by this board back in 2009, and it calls for, among other things, the policy to be reviewed at least every other year, and I also question the amount, well, both the disbursements that we are making and also the amount of those disbursements. I think the Miller Fund is not living within its means, and it's been pointed out that the fund was worth, I guess, $30,000 when it was established, and it's now worth 3 times that amount. But I think Hugh pointed out that it is woefully lagged inflation. So what I am suggesting is that we invest this for the long term, those that are involved in, those of us that have retirement accounts know that a large portion of funds should be put in stocks, because over time stocks rise and dividends rise, with that said, stocks entail more risk. And I had thought about suggesting the entire thing be put in the stock market. Of course, the stock market right now is trading at an all-time high. And upon further reflection, I've decided that a balanced portfolio would be appropriate. And I'm suggesting that 70% of it be put in stocks and 30% of it be put in bonds. And I selected 2 funds that happen to be Vanguard funds. I provided some information on those 2 funds. One is the Vanguard Index 500 fund, which is what Warren Buffett has said, that he has instructed his executor when he dies to sell everything and put it in such a fund. They charge 0.04%. It is very inexpensive. The fund now yields 1.97%. Okay, so substantially more than we're earning currently. I also suggested the Vanguard Intermediate Term Bond Index, which is has an expense ratio of 0.7% and is now yielding 2.49%. I also included a chart that reflects the performance of those funds over the last 10 years, and the stock market crashed in about 2008, and at that point the Index 500 fund went way down, and I think I've actually got figures as to how much it went down here, a lot. But since then it has bounced back, and its value now exceeds the value of the bond fund. I say in here that if you do as I'm suggesting, I fully expect that at some point the Miller Fund is going to be worth less than it is now. I nevertheless think that this is a prudent investment. Among other things, we will increase the current income of the fund 12-fold. In other words, it would be yielding 2.126%. So we will be generating some $2,000, a year, as opposed to, $140 a year. Again, there is more risk, but we really need to be thinking about future generations of needy children here in Dummerston, and I think we would be doing so by investing it as I have just suggested. One thing that Lori pointed out is there might be a minimum balance on a checking account. I'm suggesting actually 70,000. Oh, and the balance of the fund right now is $108,802.38, and I'm suggesting that we put $70,000 in the Vanguard Index 500 fund, $30,000 in their intermediate term bond fund, and keep the balance in a checking account. And I told Charlotte this can be set up such that the income is swept automatically into that checking account. And as I said earlier, I think it's also important that we have a conversation with the school nurse so that she knows, or the nurse knows, how much can be expended. I think that there was and I don't really want to digress, but there was a recent request, from the school nurse for another scholarship for Green Mountain Camp right now. And given the amount that we just expended, and the fact that we have significantly exceeded the amount that has come in for the last 2 years, I suggest we not approve that additional request.
That's not on the agenda for this evening.
Okay.
So that will be for discussion when it's on the agenda, and
Okay.
it'll be on the agenda at the last point.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for pointing that out. But I guess that's my suggestion. As I say here, no prudent investor, no knowledgeable fiduciary would ever take $100,000 and put the whole thing in a money market account yielding 0.18%. So,
Do we want to? Is this something is this under action? I don't remember. Or are we going to discuss? Or
Let's see. I think we're going to take. We have options for Miller Funds investment, so I wasn't thinking we'd be voting on it.
Okay. So,
So I think we could do.
So we could discuss without a motion.
Yes, let's discuss without a motion.
So, I think this is fantastic, and I really am very pleased that we're actually looking at this fund again and what it's designed for, what the purpose of it, and then, kind of maybe regain some value, because we've been giving out, 10 times what this thing's been earning, or 100 times what it's been earning, I guess. But, so my question, Joe, you're certainly tuned in on this, but 70-30 mix, I think that's a great mix, but that 70% is not really I guess on a risk, the investor risk, you got a conservative investor, a moderate investor, an aggressive investor, basically. That index fund, where does that fall on?
well, it used to be, back when I was in the business, a balanced portfolio was 60-40.
Yeah.
And what's changed, of course, is interest rates have declined to the point where, there will be risk with this bond fund. And what I suggested an intermediate term bond fund, because the ones that are going to get clobbered when interest rates rise are the long-term bonds. So that's why I suggested an intermediate term fund. I would consider this I don't know, my suggestion, balanced to slightly aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly not overly aggressive.
And again, so is just looking at this, so that bond fund compared to basically a dividend paying fund. What's the, you got some stocks that are known for providing a pretty substantial dividend on.
Yeah, let me just explain what the Index 500 fund is. It's an unmanaged fund comprised of the 500 largest companies in this country. Mm-hmm. And it so happens that they are yielding 1.97%. Certainly there are some stocks that yield more, but what a lot of folks that have studied investments have said is it's really hard to outperform the market, year in and year out. And there's a lot of fund managers that charge 1% and even more to do less well. Mm-hmm. You might as well just buy the stock market. And we could get really complicated and say, well, maybe we need to have some international funds and, you know, small cap funds and the like, but I don't think we want to, you know, I don't think we want to go there.
Mm. Yeah, I guess that bond fund is what I was looking at. But I think it's a great start. I mean, I'd like to look a little more into the, you know, the funds that we're talking about. Or
Yeah.
The index, but.
Well, and the reports I gave you are from Morningstar, which is a rating service, and I think they're both, you know, 4-star rated funds, you know, out of their 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be also easier to keep it within one fund family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So I like the idea of getting more interest than, you know,
Then the money market.
yeah. Have you heard of the Vermont Community Loan Fund?
No,
Okay,
well, actually I have, but I don't know anything about it.
okay. I think they actually, you know, it would keep the money in Vermont being loaned out. I think the interest rate might even be higher, you know, if there would be, you know, and I'm not an investor, so, but some money could be kept in an account where you could draw off it, and others would be, is the right term, a term that you put it in for 3 years or 5 years, and the interest rate is, I think, higher than what you're talking about.
Well, and what I was, you know,
And then, you know, if the market tanks, it's not in the market.
well, except it's probably not insured by the FDIC. I don't imagine.
That's the risk that you
Right.
run.
Yeah, and my reason for suggesting the you know the stock fund is because what history shows is over time, you know, it has grown, and again, I think we've got an obligation to, you know, future generations of needy children to make it grow. Both the principal value and also the income.
Mhm.
And I think that you would see that in a stock fund. I mean, I'm all for investing locally, Zeke, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I'm not sure that we also want to put all of our eggs in one basket. And I think that our overriding obligation is to do the best we can for this fund.
Mhm.
Well, could you, or maybe say that again? I had heard
It's
it.
called the Vermont Community Loan Fund,
Okay.
and I think their office, I believe, is in Montpelier.
Oh, I mean, I've never heard of it. I'll look it up. I mean, it's interesting. I mean,
Yeah, see, I don't, you know,
FDIC it's not a showstopper for me. This is not either.
because
So.
that's certainly, there's no guarantee
Right.
there either, so.
Yeah, I just looked it up, they have a great website.
Yeah.
Do you,
Yeah, for when this comes up with future discussion, Joe, could you just do like a synopsis paragraph with this information that you provided? So, that, you know, just something concise that everyone can see in terms of the funds and the interest rates? Or maybe you've got something there that
Maybe
maybe
I
copied.
can just give this to you tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
And secondly, if you have the school nurse come, could you get clarification perhaps on what Medicaid might cover
Yeah,
for glasses,
right.
Right.
dental work or anything, so that
Mhm.
we know how much might be covered elsewhere, if it even would be covered.
mhm.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, I certainly, you know, the fund, I mean, he had his will, you know, had stated, but obviously, you know, when he did this in 1930, there was a lot of safety,
1929, I
19
think.
a lot of the safety nets that are in place now weren't in place. So the town used to do a lot more for, you know,
Mhm.
glasses for kids or medication and
Right.
things like that. So I mean, clearly we all, I think, agree that it needs to evolve. It's got to be sustainable as we evolve it. So
Right.
yeah.
I appreciate the amount of work you did, that
Sure.
was a lot, and
Yeah.
it's valuable.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so we should keep this on the agenda and do a little bit more research.
Mhm. Well, I mean, I've done my work, so
Okay.
if you wanna look into it further.
Yeah,
What about scheduling the nurse?
yeah, I'll give her a call and see when she would, if she's available, at our next meeting.
School got out yesterday, good luck
Yeah,
teaching her.
yeah. Well, we'll do our best. Let's
Yeah.
see what we can do.
Thanks.
Anybody else that we should invite to that discussion that you can think of?
What about the principal?
Well, who else is involved?
It's pretty much, we've been relying on the nurse
Yeah.
to
Well,
refer, families to us.
She might,
Yeah.
have more to say in terms of if there's someone else she'd like us to invite,
Sure.
but, yeah.
Sure. And anyone in the public that has an interest can certainly come also.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give her a call and see what we can set.
Mhm.
Okay, and we'll keep this on the agenda.
Mhm.
Okay. Good. Any more on this?
Thanks again, Joe.
Sure.
Okay. So, we have a goal of increasing participation at town meeting. And there are many ways that might be done. We got 2 letters from people this week. One saying, don't change anything, and one saying, change it, it's time to change. So,
And we need more input.
yes, it'd be good to have more input. You've written a letter that is going to,
I submitted an article to use for the next one.
Okay.
And I haven't submitted it to any other publication yet. I haven't given it a whole lot of thought as far as what I'm gonna go next with it, but.
Okay.
I don't know, when does the next views come out? Do you?
Well, the deadline was just recently, so I think that's at the end of July.
Okay,
So the next one's probably 3 months later.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if everybody read that, one of my suggestions was to, try to, seek out a cross-section essentially is what I said, of people throughout the town and with a mandate of what can we do? I mean, don't tell them, here's how we wanna do it, it's like, what can we do? They may come up with a Saturday, they may come up with childcare, maybe handicap or elderly parking, whatever they come up with, and then we can look at it, and if at that point, then we say, well, this is where, either having a special town meeting and discussing changes, or waiting until next March to propose it. And I think that would have to be, how we proceed with that would have to be kind of based on their recommendations. I mean, barring any real controversial topic, I don't foresee, generating more than 10% on the Tuesday that next March. But maybe some of the ideas they have, whether it could be, you gotta have parking available for, elderly or handicapped people or whatever. It's easier, it's hard for people to get. There may be small ideas to initiate some form of increasing people coming. Or maybe we want to do it on a Saturday, and then just have the actual meeting on the Saturday, and then move to adjourn till Tuesday till our polling is completed, and then we can close out the town meeting. I mean, many towns do alternatives to just that, but without getting
It would be important to
rereading my whole
know
letter. But
why people don't come, or ask the question, is there something that could be done that would make it more likely that you would come?
Right.
We don't know what those hindrances are.
But and as I've kind of studied this and looked through, and none of these numbers are great, but we had like the state average was like 8.3% participating for 4 votes, and like just under 23% for Australian ballot voting, just on budget articles. Neither one of those numbers are like really
Something
clearly
really
indicating
important.
we have a vibrant democracy here. So I think it's important to at least explore it, and if there's no interest, there's no interest. But I certainly would hope that we could generate some participation, on, whether it's money that's getting spent, resolutions that people want to pass, articles. So I would
And
like
Hugh,
to
are
look into
you submitting this, are you writing and submitting this as a resident of Dummerston, or as a select board member, or how does that?
Well, like I said, too, I don't think you can completely separate the two, but I've submitted that as an opinion article. So as just my name. So it's my opinion, and I am a selectman, but I'm not speaking for the three of you or the four of you. I speak for myself.
So, how many registered voters are in Dummerston?
There are 1,683.
And I believe we'll see a correction to that list, Gail.
The state is getting back to us, and we're going to be able to. There are clearly some people who haven't lived here for a while, and so I think we'll see a reduction. I don't know how much of a reduction.
Thank you.
But, so that number, yes, as Hugh says, is probably going to change.
Yeah.
And
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. You're.
Well, I guess just so on this, and what, we probably need to put it on the agenda for action, but I would, we can wait till July till this comes out, but I guess I would just ask you, think of some people, and maybe not the normal suspects, who we could try to, hey, can you guys, would you like to be on an improvised committee and start discussing this, and then come up with, some recommendations for us going forward. I don't think we need like a cross section is what east west, older, younger. It's again, volunteering is hard at everybody's time, but I would certainly like to see some at least outreach to see if we could get anybody to participate, and then give them a charter. Here's what we're asking you to do. What can we do to get better participation in our town meeting? So.
Great.
All right.
Any other thoughts on that? Comments? Okay, we'll keep it on the agenda. Good. Let's see. Under other business, this was just a test to see whether you would notice that was from the last agenda of June 7th. So all of you who noticed that can give yourselves a pat on the back. There isn't any, you have the same one that I do, yeah.
Well, I would just comment that I submitted an article to the Views concerning that very matter. So I think I sent it to you.
Because there are two matters. You want to be specific as to which one?
Oh, it was, the planning commission meeting, so.
The short-term rental.
Short-term rentals, yes.
Meeting on June 6th.
Exactly, yes. I did get some notes from that meeting that I incorporated in part.
Great, and that went to the Views, you
The
said?
Views, yes,
Okay, great.
for the next issue, and it did get in time.
Right, the select board report.
Yes.
Great, good, thank you.
And I understand that was really I guess some of you were there, right? I understand. I was kind of apprehensive about that meeting. I did not attend, but I'm told it was really very cordial.
It was
Yeah,
Planning Commission did an excellent job.
well-run meeting,
yeah, good,
yeah.
And they have a new chair
right.
who's
Yeah.
new to Dummerston, so
Yeah.
that was impressive.
Right. Any other business? Okay. Any,
Community center update?
that was from.
Oh, these
the
both were
other
from the
agenda.
previous,
That
okay.
was the trick question. So, I think we're keeping quite a lot on the agenda for next time. We're going to invite the nurse. We have Southeast Vermont Watershed Alliance would like to come. Southeastern Vermont Business, the Speds would like to come and have a chat with us at some point.
Who?
Southeast Vermont.
Sevens, okay.
Yeah, business. So,
I thought you said the feds, and I said, I'm not gonna show up for that
the
one.
feds may want to speak with you privately.
Like,
So, and is this meeting you're speaking of July 5th?
The next meeting, our next meeting is July 5th.
Okay, I'll be out of the country on July 5th, so.
We'll try to keep things running until you get back.
You can always Skype in.
You'll be back for the meeting on the 19th?
Correct.
Good. Right.
And I actually will miss that meeting.
You're going to miss the 19th, okay? And
Okay.
Hugh, how are you, how's baseball season going?
well, there is a state championships coming up. I don't know if it's that week or the next. I'll let you know.
Okay. Okay.
Well, if there's no further business, I move we adjourn.
Second time.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
I want to tell you off